Hey, we're back. It's Toby and Bill. Thanks for watching last week. Thanks for coming back this week. We've still got. So I was wrong last week about the Rolling Stones. That was not a Record Store Day release. Bill straightened me out after the show. You should straighten me out during the show. But anyway, because sometimes I'm wrong. And it happens. I'm not Fonzie. I can say it, you know? Anyway, it did come out near Record Store Day. We're going to talk about... Is Husker do Record Store Day? No.
Nope, just that.
That's just a... Okay, so the first thing... So if we do this alphabetically... the bands we're going to cover today are the English Beat, the Beatles, and Husker Du. But... English Beat's only known as English Beat in the U.S. They're the Beat in the U.K., which would put them alphabetically before the Beatles. So we could do it, but I've seen this, but I've never seen the record. You know what the English Beat were billed as in Canada?
No.
The British Beat.
I didn't know that.
Because they were in a dispute with Paul Collins Beat from Oklahoma. Anyway.
And to add to the mix, there's the recent thing of, what is it? King Crimson?
Beat.
There's a band, the tribute to that.
Adrian Belew's band, Beat.
Yeah, that's out too.
That plays music from those 3 King Crimson albums. Yeah. That's correct. Wow. And then, of course, when the English Beat split off, and there was a variety of groups. One was just called The Beat with Ranking Roger, and there was one called Special Beat that had members of the Specials and the Beat.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that in the
that.
back room. Did you go see
Who's a fan of General Public?
I was crushed when I couldn't go see General Public at Numbers in 1984. But you know, Dave Wakeling, he tours as General Public and English Beat, I think with the same band, depending on what he can get more money for that year. It sounds like, because he's been based out of LA for a while.
I didn't know he's still going as General Public too.
I listen to the First Wave station on Sirius XM, and when they do those package tours, like he's on them. It's like Dave Wakeling and General Public, you know. And last year he was on the same tour as English Beat. It's just
he's in good form. I saw him with Karma Chameleon.
Boy George.
I saw the Boy George. Yeah, it was Culture Club. Culture Club and English Beat, and it was at that lawn by the lake.
Auditorium Shores.
Yeah, it was Auditorium Shores.
Okay, I saw Boy George open for Squeeze at Moody Amphitheater.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was Boy George solo. It wasn't Culture Club. But of course I went for Squeeze, who I've seen 3 times.
Always great.
They're always great.
They got a new album coming out.
And they were actually playing songs. This was like 2 years ago. They were playing songs from that record. Which is, I can't tell you the title of it, but it's songs that they wrote in like 74, 75.
Yeah.
When they were a pub rock band, there's like, this would have been our first album if anyone gave a shit about us. At this time, we were ready to go with this stuff. And they played some songs. And they were pretty good, you know?
Can you imagine your 60-year-old self singing your 20-year-old lyrics? And they weren't even hits. So, like, you're revealing this to the world for the first time. There's got to be some tweaking involved.
Well, when Van Halen got back together, their songs had, like, all of those were from the fucking demos, you know?
Which was a smart move, but still wasn't as good. For some reason, I liked it though. I actually liked it.
It had some moments, and you know what? I actually liked the single that everyone fucking shit on.
I love that Tattoo.
I thought it was great.
Really good.
I thought it was well.
Yeah, I didn't care about the haters then. I was like, you know what?
Man, people singled out that song as like, I don't know, maybe it's wimpier than Jump, but it was a catchy tune.
I don't trust Van Halen fans ever since the Sammy Hagar, who I like the Capitol Years of, by the way, in Montrose. But the Sammy Hagar one got the most sales. That's the biggest selling Van Halen record.
Well, because
out of all the classic David Lee Roth, that is the biggest one.
Because they had girl songs. They had songs about being, like every song had love in the title, you know, like, and it wasn't ain't talking about love. It was like what love can do, or what? How do I know when it's love? Like,
there's something for the fellas too. There's the guitar interplay on the first album.
Tell me why can't this be love?
Sorry, ladies that like guitar interplay. Didn't mean anything by that.
And you know that song fucking Finish What You Started is so date rapey, you know? Like when you go back, he's so creepy, you know? Like, anyway, we're getting off track. English Beat at the BBC. I love this record. So I've been listening to this a lot, and I'm a big fan of 80s ska. You can call me a poser, but I'm really don't know a whole. I have like a Desmond Decker album, but like I don't really know a lot about 60s ska, but I know all the fucking Special Selector English Beat madness. And English Beat was the first of those bands that I really got into. I really like Special Beat Service, even though that was like their pop album. And then I'd seen the specials on Saturday Night Live, and then that first album is pretty fucking undeniable. I didn't know for years that most of those songs are covers. But, okay, so anyway, these are live versions of the songs. They come from sessions in 79, 80, 80, and 82. So there's 4 different sessions. I just can't stop it. The first English Beat album comes out in May of 1980, but in November of 79, they've got a session with 5 songs from it, with some, real classics like Mirror in the Bathroom. And then right after the album drops, they do another session with more songs from that, and I think, 4 more songs from I Just Can't Stop It. Then they come back and do another session in September 1980. I can't believe how fast bands were churning out shit, at this point. Anyway, so the second album, What Happened, comes out a year later, like May 1981. But they're doing songs from that on this BBC session from September 1980 on side 3. And then they have this other session from March 1982, which is a few months before Special Beat Service comes out, and they're doing songs from Special Beat Service at the end, and then the band blew up and turned into general public after that. But having worn out all Special Beat Service and I Just Can't Stop It, What Happened is the one I probably listened to the least, but also I really like the comp What Is Beat. It has a lot of songs that compiles. They had other singles. Some of the songs they did on this were like singles too. Anyway, what I'm getting at is this is looser. It sounds more live, less produced. And at this point, I would throw this on anytime over any of the regular English Beat albums.
My journey with these guys was, I have no problem admitting, was Save It for Later and then backtracking.
Yeah,
and it's like
that's where I got
nothing else sounds like Save It for Later.
Let me tell you what, I was in 6th grade and KTRU played English Beat, Special Beat Service. I think they had an advanced copy in its entirety on like a Wednesday night. And I was like, I listened to the whole thing and immediately set out to buy that album as soon as I heard it, But,
this stuff normally was kryptonite to me, especially the generation later of ska. But
I don't know
I like this, and I agree with you. I really appreciate the musicianship on this. The studio albums are good, but they just don't. There's something different about them. This is just raw and tight.
Super
same
tight.
Time, and
the songs
are good.
You can hear how they're more of a live band, like in a good way.
Yeah.
The songs have a sameness to them, where like, okay, they're gonna come out and hit you in the head with all these right in a row, and they've got this great live sound. And you can tell when they went in the studio, the producers like trying to make each song distinct and give it its own sound.
Why don't you like What Happened?
It's not that I don't. You know what? It's kind of the jam album. You know, like there's the songs are less. I heard that one the last. It's got some really good songs on it, like Doors to Your Heart, but then there's like a lot of just like, what are they getting into? Calypso, and it's more jammy. It just seems a lot. That album seems a little more rushed to me. It seems like their whole original sets, and
I mean, you could have answered that with this. Where's the songs?
Yeah, right. You're right.
But the thing is, I'd like to listen to it. There probably is songs on there.
There totally is. When they do them,
they're on here.
When I listened to side 3 of this,
Too
Nice to Talk To, you see, that was a single before what happened and wasn't on it, which probably should have been on that album. Psychedelic Rockers, that's just kind of a jam to me. Monkey Murders, that sounds great. That's on What Happened. Walk Away. But Drowning was like the single. Endorse Your Heart.
I like the Pass the Deutsche. Pato and Roger go to.
That sounds awesome. When they have Pato Bonton, and you know the real star of the show who sounds fucking killer on this. I'm going with Saxa, the old guy, the saxophone player. Whenever he's on there, that guy has got fucking tone for days, you know? And it really shines on this album. So, so, you know, everyone knows the story. You might know the story if you're old fart. Is where they split into General Public and Fine Young Cannibals. And then, And then these guys, I don't know, did Reincarnation stuff. Well, I think he was just old by that time. He played on a bunch of like real 60s ska.
Right.
You know. Anyway, so man, you know what I always think about when I listen to English Beat now is you remember that in the early 2000s they had that show about bands reunited on MTV where they would try to get bands back together. They had an episode where English Beat and man, that Dave Wakeling, he came off like he was nervous, like they don't use this term much anymore, like a whore in church. You know, it was just like, you could tell he screwed everybody. You know, it's like one of those deals where like there's this whole wave in the 80s where it's like the band started off with like fucking 10 members.
Oh, yeah.
And then they realized they got to split the money 10 ways, and then they take, you know, the best looking, most memorable
Madness
looking
is mean to have...
Madness kept its whole entire lineup.
Right, that's what I thought.
Okay, but fucking how about like the first Thompson Twins record, you know, or whatever. Remember it had like 10 people, including like Thomas Dolby. And then like the main guy kept like the 2 most interesting looking people who played the least instruments, you know, like...
That's... I'm learning about Thompson Twins.
He had Thomas Dolby in the band. Thomas Dolby's whole solo career was like revenge for being kicked out of the Thompson Twins.
And remember, he's the one on Foreigner 4.
Oh, and
That's him.
He wrote hits for Leni Lovitch. He wrote some of her early singles. He was in her band. Anyway, so I'm giving this... So you were telling this isn't much of a seller... but it's a limited one, so you should pick it up if you see it, because I think it's really good. And you couldn't find it on any streaming services, right?
Yeah. But the stuff has been out before. They've had the BBC. It even says so. There's only one unreleased song. So it's just not been all compiled together, I guess.
Yeah. Well, this is my go-to. I totally enjoy this.
Oh, I would play this. I'd definitely play it before What Happened.
Yeah. No, seriously... I just can't stop it in Special Beat Service are records that I had on cassette, and I know them both like the back of my hand. I had them in junior high.
And let's just say, after listening to this, save it for later. He wrote that by accident. What a beautiful accident. Awesome song.
Okay.
Like, out of all of this, there's nothing else that sounds like that.
It's a perfectly written song. You know, okay, so here's an issue I have with that song, and it's pretty stupid. Is that one of my favorite comedy movies of all time is Kingpin. And there's a montage in Kingpin using that song, and it's a bunch of Amish... Woody Harrelson's building barns with a bunch of Amish people, and there's a bunch of gags where like he's acting like he knows what he's doing, and the barn's falling apart, and walls are falling down, and they're playing. So now the vision I get in my head when I hear that song, because I've seen that movie so many times, is Amish like gags of Amish people building.
Let me watch your palette.
Yeah.
With this little tidbit. Pete Townsend was doing solo shows and he wanted to cover Save It for Later.
It's on Deep End Live.
And he could not figure out how to do the chord change, and he called Dave Wakeling and says, "How did you do this?"
Oh, wow. Wow. Pretty impressive. Wow. So, yeah, highly recommended. We should probably move on to the next thing. So, coming up next, what is it? You introduce this one. I'm going to have a sip of tea.
Beatles Anthology 4.
Beatles Anthology. You might have heard of this band. Really?
Actually kind of an unnecessary release, but still adding to their legacy nonetheless. I'll just flat out say it. The most important thing about this is the Jeff Lynne remixes of the new songs. That side, the final side.
Oh.
I think his versions bring them out better than the original singles.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a huge fan of that Now and Then song. I think it's beautiful. The bridge, Paul outdid himself with this. And what they originally had to work with, and the modern production skills with what Jeff Lynne did with the remixes just brings it out. It's just a really good conclusion. Other than that, out of all these series, I think Volume 2 was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just basically taking different tracks from different eras,
it goes in chronological order.
It's like a Rubik's Cube. It's another anthropology type study. It's, this is not really for the fans that want Revolver. This is the Chin Rubber Delight. All the liner notes per song is like, and actually blah blah blah, and I love it. I am the person that they made this for.
Dude, I really enjoy. Even though, I wasn't up on all the anthologies, but I did buy the CD version. This is Bill's. I bought the CD box set when the number 4 came out that has all 3, and I've completely enjoyed listening to all of them, including number 4, and, it's got songs, there's songs like Helter Skelter on the White Album. I've heard that so many times on classic radio. I think it's a great song. Love it. It's awesome to hear another take of the song.
Sure.
It's and I know how the Beatles did it, where they would at that point do 54 takes of a song to get it right. They do the same songs all day.
I mean, the funny things on This Boy takes 12. The reason why they didn't work is they messed up on the one says this and that. The other says that, that boy, and they start laughing. It's pretty funny.
And that's also impressive to me because, if anyone cared enough to do, this type of record at any of my bands, when it would get to the fuck up, you'd hear a bunch of people yelling, shit! God damn, stop it! Don't be fucked up! And then,
Paul says that on one of the songs.
Yeah.
You messed up and you know it.
Yeah, but they're laughing about it.
Yeah.
They're just every time there's a fuck up, you hear it's oh, geez.
That's cocky.
Yeah.
We'll get it eventually. This is funny now, boys. And why not? They had every reason to be cocky.
Yeah. No, so this starts off in 62, 63, and it goes, to the very end on this, and it's just kind of in all the anthologies, if you hadn't heard them, it's kind of they duck in on the band for a couple sessions every, year of the 7 years of their career, recording career, which is just so fucking mind-blowing, but I love hearing slightly different versions of these songs and the studio outtakes and
got to get you into my life with a different ending, different vocal arrangements. There's a lot of different stuff. Hearing Fool on the Hill instrumentally, it brings a new depth to it.
The new never been my favorite. There's a couple songs on here that they do alternate versions of that I've always I felt been kind of plodding, that I'm kind of, as I'm getting old, getting a new appreciation for. And one of them is I've never been a huge fan of While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Hearing a slightly different version of it, I dig it. It's nice, even the songs I thought were sort of boring, I never quite got sick of. There's not a whole lot, I don't have to hear Yesterday, but I can pretty much enjoy any Beatles album still, know?
So you got albums that you played the hell out of, and as a snobby music person in the 20s, I always thought greatest hits records suck because you're not getting deep cuts. But now it's fun to listen to the playlist records. I've now collected all the Beatles collections while John was still alive. So it means love songs, all the way up to the movies collection. You know, rock and roll. Those two, they're all this. It gives you a new perspective listening to them in those order.
We had an 8-track called the Pink Album.
I don't know what
in
that
the
is.
70s. It was just like some kind of greatest hits. It was in pink.
Sounds like something in your household, like the Jeffrey rule of Scrabble.
Yeah.
That's a made-up rule. I found out the hard way.
Dude, my first album I really got into, I thought was the Beach Boys' greatest hits, but it's called Good Vibrations. The songs of Brian Wilson, played by PK and the Sound Express, which is, I found out later, Paul Williams.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I bet you wish you had that record now.
I do. It's worth quite a bit, especially the 8-track that I just wore out. It's so good, you know? Anyway, yeah, so I really enjoyed this too, right? I mean, it's not as if you're like beyond worn out. Like for me, it was a thrill every time I hear a Beatles song that I haven't heard, you know, before, because yeah, it's one of those things that's like, oh, it's the Beatles, I've heard it. But then occasionally something pops out like, shit, I didn't really listen to Yellow Submarine all the way through. So, like, I didn't hear Hey Bulldog till like 15 years ago or something like that. That just wasn't a song, you know?
Yeah.
I remember, and that's like one of their best songs.
Really
you know?
good.
And then some of the songs I love on Let It Be, you know, like Dig a Pony is one of my favorite songs, you know, and I Got a Feeling.
And right now
anyway,
they're showing extra
on
footage on the anthologies on, I think it's HBO.
Really?
I haven't had a chance to check that out yet. Wasn't too impressed with the anthologies.
Get Back?
Yeah. Oh, no, Get Back I liked.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally see George help Ringo write Yellow Submarine right there and doesn't get credit for it. Like, he helps him with the bridge.
Oh, so
right there on film.
Oh, damn. No, it's crazy. I'm gonna watch that, but there's like a part of me that's like, it's like too heavy to watch for me, you know? It's like, I don't know. I'm just kind of, it's gonna give me a weird feeling.
Just see some weird candy and let yourself go. Watch
Yeah, and like when they did Octopus Garden on here, which is like nobody over the age of
that's what I'm talking about.
favorite song.
I made a Beatles mistake.
Yeah.
Yellow Submarine's written by Lennon and McCartney. I'm talking about Octopus.
Octopus
that George helps him write. Had to correct myself there.
Well, is that in Get Back where
Yes.
Ringo had just quit the band? He had just walked out and gone on vacation.
I can't remember the order
and
of that.
He had kind of written that song in his head, and they were just so happy to have him back. This like, give him a song. Like, let's all work on Ringo's song. He's back, you know. Like
George walked out too, came back.
Yeah. Man, and his I mean, towards the end, his songwriting is pretty amazing. You know, he's like really getting the good songs in on Let It Be, in Abbey Road, you know. Anyway.
I think all the songs that Lennon McCartney rejected from George, and he puts them all on a triple record, it was kind of a mistake. In retrospect, he should have spread out those songs.
Yeah,
I think he should have made it a single record and just kept. I mean, that's basically what Cheap Trick did. They all the way up to Next Position Please is all these killer classic Cheap Trick songs spread out.
Yeah. No, and the Ramones apparently had a bunch written, and they recorded them in order of how they had them. And we're about to get to another band that had a lot of songs written in advance. You know, and also we're getting back to the English beat on here. Is that one thing that kind of sucks now due to streaming is like these bands were coming out, well, the English beat was coming out on the radio and playing unreleased songs live, you know, and not giving a shit, you know, because now you would Well, I guess they do it now. I guess that's kind of a dated argument, you know, because like people aren't really making money for sales. They're just promoting live shows, you know. I mean, it got to a point where you wouldn't perform a song live until the album came out.
That's the one thing that even like the Stones can't stop. Those radio shows, people can put them out on. There's a
like King Biscuit Flower Hour,
stuff of that ilk. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All of this is bringing us into this album, which might be my favorite. I have it on the CD. I don't know. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite. I do really like this one's pretty. I'll probably wind up listening to this the most, even though I do really love that English beat. Beatles is kind of for fans.
Let's talk about the context. They're just back. The first two discs they just got back from a triumphant big tour, and they're back in their hometown. And as you know, you're a warrior coming back from tour and then playing right away as a well-oiled machine. It's always badass, right?
Yeah,
you gotta have experienced that.
Yeah, you probably look like shit, but the band sounds great.
Yeah,
you know. So 1985, The Miracle Year, is a live collection by Husker Du, and let's preface this by saying that Husker Du that had a fucking amazing year. In the summer of 1984, Husker Du releases the double album Zen Arcade, which is just a super mind blower, game changer. And then January 1985, they released a single album, just a single album, but 6 months later, the 5-star album New Day Rising, right? And then they record, the same month, they record this show. It's a 24-track recording at First Avenue in Minneapolis, and it's the most smoking disc of anything we've talked about today. Is going to be the first album.
What year's Flip Your Wig?
Flip Your Wig comes out in October of 1985.
Okay.
Right?
So the songs are in there too.
So, and also, Candy Apple Grey, their first major label album, comes out like May of 86.
Yeah.
So they're obviously recording that in 85. You're getting songs from New Day Rising, Flip Your Wig. And the first one, you're already getting songs from Flip Your Wig in the New Day Rising set. And then in the second disc, when they're playing various shows on the Flip Your Wig, later on in the year, they're also doing a number of songs from Candy Apple Grey. Oh, see,
this
I
band
don't
was
have
popular
all that.
because of their looks.
Yeah. But, okay, here's the tie-in. So, Husker Du is named after a board game, which is what, Dutch? And Husker Du means do you remember, right? And Flip Your Wig is the name of the Beatles board game that was based on the Beatles cartoon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Which that's worth probably a whole lot of money. If you have a copy of Flip Your Wig game, which I think is way more obscure than Husker Du game, which you do see because I think it's very well known in Europe. But
the show at the First Avenue, the famous Minneapolis club, is so perfect in every way. I mean, side C, the one is Hey Paper Dolls, Green Eyes, Divide and Conquer, Pink turns into blue, and then ends with 8 Miles High.
If you get any live Husker Du, get that. And it just seems like, for me, my impression going through this the first time is before I knew the info on where anything was recorded or any of that, is disc 1 is like, they've got it down to a science. Like, this might not be the songs you thought you wanted to hear, but these are all the songs that actually get the crowd going.
Yeah.
Back to back, and it's like, 20 songs of that?
Yeah.
And it's just all like...
I saw the Candy Apple Grey tour, Liberty Lunch, Doctor's Mob Open, and then I saw the Warehouse tour in Houston.
I was supposed to go to the Warehouse tour, and I probably should quit telling this story. But it was one of those situations I used to get myself in my high school years where I'm with my friend who has a car, and they're like, yeah, we'll go to that show you want to go to. First, let's drop by this keg party. And then it's like, dude, every girl in school's at this keg party. Fuck that show. And I'm like, what, bro? I want to go see Husker, dude. I want to go see the Crabs, blah, blah, blah. You know, and they're like, dude, don't worry about that shit. We're staying here tonight. You know, and it's just like, and I'm still mad. I'm 55 years old, and I'm still talking about it. So I didn't get to see Husker Du. But I think by that point on that...
You will never let that go.
No. I told Greg Norton the story when I met him a couple of years ago. I went and saw his band Ultra Bomb. He already knew. I think he's heard a few people tell this story, you know. But he's like, and then y'all never came back, you know. But it's amazing how much shit. I mean, you think the fucking Beatles? Well, I mean, the Beatles were amazing, and that how many they had like 11 albums. Like everything was in between 1963 and 70. 70 is when they quit recording, right? You know?
I think, and also the mindset, when you go further back, the mindset is like, this isn't going to last forever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, they had, we're going to be done. This is like, we're going to be working in the factory soon. But then they just kept making and making. That's, I mean, that way of thinking, like the Smiths thought that too.
Yeah.
And that way of thinking was going on for a while. But once you start getting into, you know, I think these guys are road warriors. They're so tight. And we were talking last time, we're touching on the books. The Bob Mould book came up at the same time as the Husker Du book that Bob Mould did not do interviews for. And one of the things that I noticed on the liner notes on this is it looks like Bob is finally lightening up his distaste for Greg. Because the takeaway from both those books is no respect for Greg. Because like Greg was he stopped writing songs and he's like, he was along for the ride, it seems like, according to Bob. But his playing is amazing on this. All three of them are playing amazing. But Greg gets some props, and the liner notes say that they're not taking jabs at. Well, I don't think Greg ever took jabs at him. I don't know. I'm not a local in Minneapolis, but you know, Bob was being nice.
Okay, so let me see. Getting into the gossip of the grievances is Greg. Let me see. When they got the major label deal, they signed for an undisclosed amount of money.
Oh yeah.
And it seems like Greg didn't get any of the money, right? Like.
Well, that's yeah. Bob bought a house. Grant bought a house. Greg wanted a house. Why don't I get a house? And that was the end. That was like during warehouse recordings. Like, okay, we're done. Bob had enough. Bob called it, I think.
Well, okay. So what I was reading was that Greg and Bob formed a music rental company that purchased all the studio equipment with the money.
Oh.
That afterwards they still, on top of their advances to put down payment on houses, they still had all that equipment to like lease out to other bands that wanted to record afterwards. Like they had stuff to run a business on. But then I always heard that, and then in Bob Mould's book, he says that Greg Norton was too busy playing golf with like fucking business guys and lawyers.
Bob Mould's book has zero respect for Greg.
But then Bob Mould apologizes because okay. Here's the other thing I want to point out is all this stuff started coming out after Grant Hunt died.
Right.
So there was something.
Well, not Bob's book.
No, not Bob's book. But
yeah,
this
the niceness.
All the nice packages, all the releases,
right.
All the early days, all of that stuff started happening within a couple of years.
Kind of like Rick Ocasek doing the new Cars album after Benjamin dies.
Right. That had good songs on
it. I agree.
Anyway, so sorry about that. No, the Savage Young Do, I let a friend of mine borrow that, and it's never coming back, and that's out of print now. So this is out of print, right?
For now.
If you see a copy of this on vinyl or
while
CD,
supplies last,
pick it up.
My store ran out of it.
It's gonna sell out. Yeah. So anyway, this is a great record. So I feel like the second album is like split up from a bunch of different gigs throughout the year, including one in Kentucky, one in Long Beach. I think the real problem, the only major flaw in the second disc, to me it feels like all the other songs you thought you wanted to hear but don't actually kick total ass live, like Hardly Getting Over It. It's cool to hear an electric version of Never Talking to You Again.
Yeah.
You know? But
one thing I learned was Chartered Trips. Like,
that song is awesome.
How do you pull it off live? And at first it's unrecognizable, but then you're like, okay, if I was seeing this live, I would be amazed. It was so cool.
Yeah.
It's like this mess. Oh, and the other thing too is the last track, Misty Modern Days, is a Warehouse outtake.
Oh.
A Grant Hart Misty outtake.
Oh.
Well, they get co-writing. No, all three get co-writing credit.
Okay, they really needed to put something in instead of that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy song. It seems to go on for 10 minutes.
I think it was a thing. Like they did that all. But
you know what it reminds me of?
That version of In a Free Land reminds you how killer that song is.
The songs from Everything Falls Apart just sound so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so Husker Du, a lot of people say Flip Your Wig's their best album, and I probably
should have been
agree.
That should have been Candy Apple Gray. If that was on Warner Brothers, if that was on Warner Brothers, I think it might have made a dent. They might have had a hit or something with marketing.
Like, yeah, people always you talk about albums that came out before Nirvana, Nevermind, that would have fucking killed if they came out after it. Like, would have sold like 5 million instead of 400,000 or whatever.
We mean the one before Nevermind.
Not Bleach, but after Nevermind. Like, okay, how about Soul Asylum, Hang Time?
Yes, agreed.
Like,
that's a great record compared to the CBS record. Yeah, that's on A&M though.
I know it's a major label record.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the
broken one is the one Bob Mould produces. With the broken.
But Hang Time is like got the full sound.
And Dave Pirner's on here, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh dude.
He sings Helter Skelter, I think.
Oh yeah. He's on there.
Yeah, he sings Helter Skelter.
And the show in Kentucky is the one where they met Squirrel Bait, where like Bob Mould started producing Squirrel Bait, like after meeting them. Yeah.
I'm not a big emo guy at all, and I was really upset when someone said these guys are emo. I was like, oh man, they're not. They're Husker Du. They're an enigma. There's no one like them. They were writing pop songs. They wanted to be a punk band, aggressive punk band, but with melody, true melody. And a lot of the songs are, I apologize. That's not a negative Skinhead song.
No.
It's like, I don't know. There's something about these guys. They reached a lot of loser guys like me that weren't getting any chicks.
Dude,
in high school.
When I heard fucking Zen Arcade in 10th grade, I was obsessed with that record, and it's still just mind blowing.
You and legions of other single.
Oh,
men.
dude, I got Greg Norton. I went to go see his band, what are they called? Ultra Bomb. And I had him sign some shit. I could tell I was the fucking demographic as soon as I walked up, So I say about Sonic Youth is like, if I go see it used to be if I went and saw a Sonic Youth show, I didn't have to go see to any of my high school reunions because everyone I wanted to see was at that gig.
It still happens in Austin all the time.
Yeah,
There's so many legend bands that, I haven't seen in a while.
Like they really had class of '89 pegs,
Totally.
It's like, But no, what you're saying about, I don't listen to a lot of emo rock, and maybe when I do, I can hear elements of Husker Du in it. But I don't listen to a lot.
So you don't think they're emo? Thank you.
I don't think they're emo. Dude, fucking, if you're calling them emo, you have to call fucking Ramones a pop punk band. Which they're just not. But they're pop and they're punk, and they're the Ramones. It's see.
No, they're pop.
I'm not calling them. I love the Ramones. They're not a pop punk band. But man, all the pop punk bands love the Ramones.
They're popping the Shangri-Las in New York way.
Right, but you can hear the Ramones in all the pop punk bands. How about all the bullshit bands that Roxy Music like inspired? You know?
I mean, it's kind of like when the Cult said, we want to sound like Led Zeppelin, and they put out Electric or whatever. But Led Zeppelin also did acoustic songs. And I mean, you're latching on. I guess that was a bad example, but
I totally know what you mean.
They latch onto an element of the band,
when
which
people
is
say
like Green Day latched onto an element of the Ramones, but I just
when people say that they were into the Velvet Underground, they seem to only fucking latch on to like the slow droney stuff, you know, and all they had. Velvet Underground,
or the ones that like the final Velvet Underground album, they latch onto the poppy songs.
I
mean,
but I mean that was a well-rounded band that had a few different styles, you know.
Absolutely.
And same with the Beatles, you know, they were like at the forefront of a lot of different styles. Beatle haters, when I try to like talk to people, like, what's the hate about, you know, because it's just like. And they're like, well, Beatles, you know, they get credit for like inventing psychedelic rock. And I don't think, you know, I've never heard anyone actually say that. And I don't think the Beatles ever actually said that.
When I first started hearing Beatle hate, I'm like, I kind of got it because I'm a rebel, you know, like I always like to go against the grain. And they were just, you know, your basic bitch pop band. But then it's like, no, there's a reason they're good. The reason why people dig their heels in if you say, yeah, but you wouldn't have had this without that. It's like
people don't like that,
especially younger generations, like when they grew up listening to the Smiths, you know, they what do they care about the Beatles? The anthology series actually is what brought them back into a whole world of people listening to them again, because they had to do something, and that's why, like, say the Police, that's why the Police are losing their legacy, because they're not doing reissues. They're not doing any. There's no anthology for the Police. They just got that shitty greatest hits thing where they redid.
Well, also, I mean, a lot of people will say that the bands that are losing relevance with the younger crowds are the ones that aren't available on the streaming services. You know.
But who these days are not?
Well, I mean, who would have picked that fucking Fleetwood Mac would be considered?
You know what? Good example of what you just said is Dave Clark 5. Like, no one cares about him, and it's because of his stubbornness of not giving it away free, owning his stuff, and never putting it out. So generations don't even have any appreciation for that stuff. They missed out because he screwed up.
Yeah.
You don't even know Dave Clark 5.
I do know Dave Clark 5. Wild Weekend, Dave Clark 5. Yeah, but no, should be remembered better. Yeah, Shit. But anyway, no. So we had good stuff this week. What's your favorite thing here?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Husker, dude.
Especially it's 1985 January and First Avenue. Husker Du is by far, it's way better than the Living End live. There's another box set I have out there that's all shows that are like super early before Land Speed Record and around that time. That's all great.
Yeah, the double album where
But if you want to hear the fucking
I want to give props
fucking play.
I want to give props to my friend Ronnie Barnett. He probably never see this, but it's because of Ronnie Barnett formed my musical opinion. He turned me on to these guys. I saw these shows, and I reminded that at the International Club across the street from Numbers in Houston, I saw the Minutemen.
Oh man, I'm jealous.
One of my big brags.
Yeah, I'm jealous. He's jealous that I saw B-52's Miami tour, but see, you saw the Minutemen, you know.
I'm jealous of that, actually.
Shit, but tell him how you know Ronnie Barnett from the Muffs.
My first record store, Music Done in the Galleria.
And Ronnie worked at the
there with me.
Store at the Galleria? Or no, he worked at your music store.
Yeah, Music Done with me.
And that was the one that was upstairs,
yes,
not
it was.
across from
the one
the
upstairs.
theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back when they had two record stores in a mall.
Mm-hmm.
That's the music industry.
I remember trying to buy a video of Stop Making Sense when it came out there, but it was like $90 to get the videotape. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I have one a record store story I just told recently where I was an idiot and didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And this girl came in and asked for, basically she wanted Modern English, Melt With You. Yeah, right. And I didn't know that song. That's how young and I was. And I just faked it. And for some reason I knew XTC and I talked her into buying. I think English Settlement because it has Melt the Guns.
Oh,
so
really?
She walked out of there convinced she was getting.
Oh.
I'll stop the world and melt with you. She's putting it on Melt the Guns.
Oh, I really like. I heard I Believe by the Buzzcocks on KTRU, and I thought it was a great song, which it is.
Yes, it is.
But I didn't catch who did it. And the first band that I saw that had that on their album was the new Tears for Fears album, Songs from the Big Chair. Has the slowest song on the album is called I Believe. And the second I put the fucking needle down, I'm like, because that was the first song I went to, I was like, this ain't it. You know, it starts with like wind chimes or some shit. Like, shh. Oh. You know, it's just like, oh my Lord.
Wow, that's two scarring stories.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so thanks for joining us. I don't know, like we're getting into Christmas. I don't know. I don't feel on top of it enough to do a year end because we haven't been doing the show in like a year and a half. I don't know if I'm prepped to do a year-end countdown or anything. We could bring a few new things in or something that we liked, or I don't know what came out yesterday, but now
I don't want that kind of pressure.
We're getting into fucking Christmas season, and so you know it's Christmas records and greatest hits stuff, and I mean that's pretty much what we're talking about right now. Is all this was aimed at the Christmas season. So anyway, thanks for joining us once again. I really appreciate everyone who got in touch with me and told me you watched it. Martin, Ron Williams, and everyone else. And
hopefully Toby spells my name right this
time.
I'm
sorry, Bill. I was just checking to see.
That was in my journal entry.
I'm sorry. I meant to go back and fix that. But then
it's still not fixed.
I didn't want to, make your post irrelevant.
Full disclosure, I don't really care.
Okay. It's Jeffrey, Bill Jeffrey. I should know it because we've known each other so long, but, I never write it down. So, okay, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back probably at the beginning of the new year.
Merry blah blah.
Yeah, enjoy your happy holiday. All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye.